Here we go. 10 best books. Wait, no, not books. 10 best reads. There we go. Not just books. 10 best reads. And I've got a couple honorable mentions. I'm sorry, I had to. Because, let me explain the honorable mentions bit. The honorable mentions are really just books that were on the list, but then I had to cut them. Because I realized, oh wait, there's another thing I wanted to add, and so I had to do it. Anyways, I'm going to jump straight into it and talk about my first book. So these first few books, they're going to be books that I was really content with. So it's a different genre of love for me. When I'm extremely content with a book, that means something was done brilliantly. And that's what it's going to be for these first few books. And I'm going to go ahead and start with A Song for Our Bond. I mean, again, these books aren't things I'm obsessed with, but they are books that I loved. Like, I really enjoyed them. They aren't books that they are going to sit with me for a while. I should say that. These books will sit with me for a while, but I'm digging myself a deeper hole. I loved A Song for Our Bond. A Song for Our Bond, this was John Minton's fault. He was praising it earlier this year, and I was like, I should add that to my list. So I read A Song for Our Bond. In fact, this is a very memorable read for me, because as I was reading it, I was sick out of my mind. Like, genuinely, I was miserable. Oh, man, it was so horrible when I read this book. Even though the book was great, I felt miserable. But the entire time reading this book, I was just enthralled. The prose was so, like, I was entrenched. I was completely absorbed. The only qualm I really had was the, whatchamacallit, that the present tense seemed to, like, it seemed to switch between past and present tense. Maybe that was just me being insane, but it seemed to do that, even though the prose was brilliant all throughout. And I'd catch on. It was a little jarring for me if I noticed that it was in present tense. I don't like present tense. Anyways, the way this book talks about love and the way we express love, I loved it so much. I love things that explore expression of love. To express love of our nation, to express love of our neighbor in song or in art. Or in writing. It's so brilliant. And then even better, ways in which we express love to our friends. Like, how do we do it in action rather than just in art form? Yeah, there's the art of love, but there's also the action of love. What shows love? And there are some characters in here who you just feel disgusted by. But then by the end, you realize, holy crap. This was for love. This wasn't... there was one character who just blew me out of the water. I wish I remembered his name, but he was so well written that when you look back, you go, oh my god, all of that was for love. And, it's so amazing. And I can't help but love, especially the mysteries that are woven throughout the novel. And then they all come to this satisfying conclusion in the end. I actually really want to reread A Song for Our Bond, because I was so sick when I was reading it that I don't think I really got the full extent of it. And now, the more I'm talking about A Song for Our Bond, the more I love it, and I really feel bad by the fact that I just put it at number 10, because I actually probably would move this up now that I'm really sitting on it and really thinking about it a couple months later, knowing that I'm not sick anymore. Anyways, that was book number 10. For book number 9, Jacqueline Hagan's The Wickwire Watch. Oh my god, this was such a good book. I have a review on my channel, but I think the more I've sat on this book, the more I just love it. The setting is one of my favorite types of settings. I'm not going to spoil it. Now, when I get into the future books and in my reviews, I will talk about the setting. I just can't ignore it, because the setting is just it's my favorite type of setting. I love this sort of stuff so much. It's so much. And she just, it's like this book series was like, yep, hello, I'm a little bit made for you, so come on. And I also love, I don't love it. I'm a very paranoid person in real life. And so the Wickwire Watch feeds my paranoia like a psychopath. And, I'm so excited to continue the series. I'm really pissed off that I haven't gotten to the Spider Key. Instead, I've just been starting series like a dumbass and not finishing stuff. But the way it feeds that paranoia, that distrust, you have absolutely no idea who to trust. And I know that feeling. It's so brilliantly captured by Jacqueline Hagan here. And oh man, in the audiobook, which is how I listened to it, or I read the book, I listened to it on audiobook, was so good. The narrator was absolutely fantastic. And I was actually playing a game while listening to the audiobook, and it was just like this calming game. It's called Spiritfarer, if you've ever heard of it. And I can't help but every time I read this or think about the Wickwire Watch, I think, oh yeah, it's a very calming read. Even though it's the most distrusting read, I chose a really weird game to play while listening to this audiobook. But anyways, the way you distrust everyone and some of the twists that you get at the end of this book, and you go, what? You're just wondering how can this go further? Where will she take this? Oh man, the Wickwire Watch was amazing, and I cannot wait to continue the series. I should also say I'm not going to be repeating authors on here. I don't really want to do that, but there's like one exception, and you'll see it later. So don't worry about that. Anyways, time for book number 8. Wisdom of Crowds. I read this back in February. Oh man, Chris from The Bearded Book Beast will know. This is a good book. And just number one, let's talk about the cover art. Look at this cover. It's just so badass, like the owl and the axe, and I love it so much. But really, what hooked me about this trilogy was Abercrombie's distinct way of criticizing politics and government. How are you governing, and how should, or is it, no, he criticizes government. He doesn't say what government should be. But I feel the way he criticizes corrupt power, the way he criticizes a corrupt system, is so fantastic. And also, the thing I loved even more than any of those in this trilogy, especially in this book, was the way he makes it so relevant to our current time. So we have the whole AI revolution, the tech revolution. And this is like the Industrial Revolution. And everybody's rising up, everybody's angry because, our jobs are going to get replaced. You can't do this to us. And I think that's so fascinating, because that's what's happening in our modern day. I loved it so much because of the relevance it has and how it truly does work for today and our whole the way our world is working right now, and we have no idea where it's going. And that's the same thing here. It's that same feeling of what's gonna happen, and also the feeling of we have no hope. I take that back. I actually feel hope in our reality, but this one, yeah, there's no hope. So if you want to feel hopeful, no, there's no hope. The bad guys win. It's Abercrombie. You already know that, so don't even come at me with, spoilers! Bad guys win. Come on. You know what series you're reading. You know the author. Don't come to me with that shit. But the way Abercrombie just gets the emotions out of you, and you go, you son of a bitch, I didn't expect you to do that, but god damn it, it made sense. Why'd you do that? so brilliant. I love this book so much. Now, for book number 7, Wind and Truth, baby. I have been waiting for this book for like 2-3 years. 2 years, I think. I think 2 years is accurate. Yeah. Man, I had my qualms with it, of course. I think everybody has their qualms with Wind and Truth, but it was worth it. It was so worth it, and I cannot wait to talk more about it. And the twists, the things that happened in the end, the way everything has come together after all these 5 books was just fantastic. I loved the ending to this. I had a couple scenes where it just didn't click with me. God, I'm acting as if this is a review. I'm gushing here. I love this book. But man, Wind and Truth was just the world building came to the next level, and all the realms. I love different realms. I love parallel realms, and we got further information on those in this book. We got to really dig deeper into them. We got to dig deeper into Cosmere lore. That's my favorite stuff. I love the lore of this series, and for that, this series just went up. For 2 characters who I wasn't sorry, one of those characters I loved already, and I just love him more now, and the other I wasn't very big on ever, but now I love him in this book. It was really shocking. I didn't expect to love this character as much as I do in Wind and Truth, but now I love him. I love him a ton, and I thought some of the humor hit, some of the humor didn't hit, but oh man, this book was amazing. I loved the twists at the very end, specifically how some of the choices these characters made and how their arcs finally wrapped up. Oh, it was amazing. And now for the books that I just loved. Starting with 11th Cycle. I kind of wish I had my full my nice broken binding edition that will be arriving sometime this month in January. Look at me. I get to fan myself with this book. It's amazing. Just trust me. If you like Dark Souls, or if you like Berserk, or if you like just that cosmic horror plus grimdark and just mixing them in with great character work, you've got 11th Cycle. The way it works is the way he has all these badass cosmic creatures in here. These gods who you just like. I didn't expect to think these gods were so cool. I didn't actually go into this book expecting anything, but wow. And another thing, Keenan Ardalan was able to successfully make me uncomfortable. To be very clear, very few things ever make me uncomfortable. Or at least in books. In books, I don't get uncomfortable. It's very easy for me to just I will look at probably the grimmest scenes out there, and I'm perfectly fine. I'm reading through it. But about 2-3 times in this book, 2 times, I can't think of a third time, I was just outright disturbed. And if you're not willing to there is extreme violence in this. Let me be very clear. Extremely graphic violence. So if you can't handle that, then just don't this book isn't for you. That's what it is. But the way he takes this violence and he adds a touch of beauty to the escape from violence, and yet being dragged right back in. It's that feeling of what's the thing? A fish thingy-mabob. A fish. It's the thing that bobs in the water. A fish bob is what I'm going to call it. And how it goes under the water and you're just drowning. And you have to feel the pain and the disturbing events. And then you go up for air. Finally, you feel beauty and you see all the just beauty of the world. And then, boom! you are drowning again, and then you go up again, and then there are so many beautiful scenes. He finds a way to put beauty in the melancholy very, very well. And I highly, highly recommend 11th Cycle to anyone who likes grimdark. And especially since we just got the Broken Binding edition. Oh, man, I'm so excited for that. This book is absolutely amazing. It has 4 characters, and I love the way he tackles so many different kinds of people. The oppressed, the depressed, and the nobility, and also the... God damn it, there was a 4th one who I cannot remember for the life of me. Oh, and the disabled. Those are the 4th. The nobility, the disabled, the oppressed, and the depressed. And I love the mixture of all those things. It's brilliant. I highly, highly recommend this book. If you haven't read it, go read 11th Cycle. It was one of my favorite reads of the year. And now for Harold. Oh, this was a good book. This was a good-ass book! And this is my favorite art piece, but from this book. But oh man. Harold, it was so good. The way that Rob J. Hayes makes you love these characters, and you're questioning all these different faiths, all these different beliefs. So it's actually I don't know, I can't find it right now, but for Wickwire Watch, you're distrusting people. In Harold, it feels like I'm distrusting beliefs. Everybody's belief seems to be wrong in some way. Everybody's belief seems to be faulty, and they are so fanatically attached to these beliefs that you're just going, what are you doing? What's the real thing? What actually happened? What should I believe? Who should I trust? And again and again, and I feel like at the end of this book I know everything, but at the same time I feel like I don't, because I feel like once I get to the novellas I'm gonna go, I don't believe everything that's being told to me, everything that's happening. Everything is so... just the twists that we get near the end, the way Rob J. Hayes tackles faith and belief and fanaticism, really. If you are a fanatic, it's this tackling of fanaticism ain't good. that's what it feels like, and but a little bit more than that, it seems to be tackling faith and really trying to understand the mechanics of it. Why do we have faith? Why do we have beliefs in these things? It's called the God Eater Saga. What do you expect? We're talking about God. If we're talking about divinities, we're going to get religion. And if we're talking about religion, we're going to get fanaticism. It's fantasy. But it does it in a very unique way. And it also has angels, which I want to say, we don't have enough angels in fantasy. This is really shocking now that I think about it, but we really don't. I don't see it a lot. And I love it a ton. And just, if you haven't read Harold, go read Harold. It's absolutely fantastic. Oh, again, worth your time. Also, look at this cover. Isn't that badass? You know it's badass. And look at this wolf. It's badass. Oh, and there was also a crazed madman. I just have to bring this up. Madmen in stories, in fantasy stories especially, because they have an extra oomph, because they're like magical madmen. they with all their weird babbling and going as they're cackling on and on and on and on. I love it so much. There's a madman in this book, and it just made, like, as soon as I saw him, I went, that's my man. That is my favorite character. So quickly, so easily. And he also, just so many different things make you question and make you go, what is going on? What is the truth? What is not the truth? What happened? And is everything that is happening, is the conflict occurring through a difference in view of what happened? Like, is the conflict because of the way people perceived events, or is it because actual events occurred that people just disagree on and everybody knows what it is, or people have warped how the actual events in their head? It's so brilliant. I love the way Hayes has been tackling perception of from all these different angles, from all these different people. It's so good. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. And of course, it had as epigraphs, so it's amazing. Now, for my next book, it's a chunker. Of War and Ruin! Oh man, I cannot wait for Of Empires and Dust. It's coming out in such an inopportune time for me, though. March is probably going to be the only month of the year where I'm not really reading anything. And still the 4th book comes out? I mean, it happens, you know, it happens. It's the stuff that happens to you when you don't... oh, well. It happens. But, Of War and Ruin. Oh, man. Man, oh, man, oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. Of War and Ruin is so good. I couldn't put this thing down. It is a... How long is this? I think it's about 400,000 words. It's 1,000 pages long. Guess how long it took me to finish this book? 3, 2, 1, 3 days. I finished this book in 3 days. It was the only thing I did. And, like, nobody saw me for 3 straight days as I read this book. I was obsessed. It was absolutely amazing. And, yeah, I finished this in 3 days. Cut me some slack. It was amazing. It really was amazing. You can tell that Ryan Cahill has just... He's gotten to another level. It's just... can he get better? I have no idea. Of War and Ruin reached this high, and especially with the end, with how his characters wrapped up. Oh, man, I can't wait for Book 4. I'm so excited for Book 4. Book 4 is going to be so good. With the way he starts to tackle heroism. He really tries to not tear it down, but really show the great aspects of what makes us human. And also the terrible aspects. And the way that we can be tricked. And the way that by being manipulated, our whole belief system can be twisted and turned. It's so brilliant. I cannot wait. And he's also been setting up for these first 3 books one of my favorite favorite character dynamics, and I'm not going to tell you what it is because it's a bit of a spoiler. And it's one of my favorite character dynamics, and then he does the inverse of one of my favorite character dynamics. It's so absolutely amazing, and I just need to make a video on my favorite character dynamics. But holy shit, this book just... I was floored. I didn't expect to love it as much as I did, and what else can you say? This book was just phenomenal. I can't talk about it that much because all the things that stick out to me are spoilers, but the way he's crafted complex character dynamics, character friendships, and rivalries, and it's so... and regrets. He tackles this idea of regrets and guilt and so perfectly, and the trauma of losing people who you deeply love and were connected to you. It's so amazing. I love it so much. Anyways, for the next book, these next 3 books are books that just hit it out of the park, by the way. Oh no, hold on. Books fell. I'm sorry. I'm not editing that out, by the way. But the next book is... Countdown, drumroll, please. Everything on these last few books, by the way, are just chonkers. So, Ships. Oh, okay. I didn't mean to hit that. That was Wind and Truth. I just hit. Ships of Marior. That's number. Well, yeah. Take what's about to happen, like number 3, number 2, and then 2 number 1s. I'm sorry. I can't make up my mind. But look at this. Look at this book. It's so good. Oh man. The way Warhost of Vastmark, specifically Warhost of Vastmark, which is the second part of Ships of Merior, they're all one book. So the way this book tackles, I don't want to just say empathy because that does it in injustice. The way it tackles people in situations, or people forced into situations they don't want to be in, forced to make decisions they would not have made otherwise, and even better, the way Janny Wirtz depicts war is so impeccable. There was a scene where thousands of people died in an instant, and there was a battle that lasted like a chapter, and it made me so happy because Janny Wirtz has this way of making. Oh my god, I just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. What was that? She makes, oh, there we go, fight scenes. She makes fight scenes so quick and dense, but also brilliant and impactful. She does this with every scene, in fact. She will make each page so dense, like, you could feel like years are passing, and it feels like a normal book. Or, I don't want to say normal book. You can't call this normal. It's just so brilliant. And the way she depicts the betrayal, the feeling of betrayal, and choices of politics, not only for politics' sake, but for love's sake, but for the love of one's family, and also conflict within a family, and the way love compels us to do things, but also the way that people's true faces, their true character shows in these most dire of moments. I think that's the most impactful part, actually. The fact that she's so perfectly captured the fact that in everyday moments you can see one aspect of a person, but in those minor moments, the moments that really count, some people really just do an outstanding job of doing what must be done. And there's a scene that's in my mind right now. It's this beautiful scene of music that and mourning and all these things just merged into one. And not only that, now that I think about it, music, the power that music has over people, over the human soul, and how art impacts all of us. It brings us together. And it's amazing. It truly is phenomenal. If you have not read Wars of Light and Shadow, or if you haven't read any Janny Wirtz, go read Janny Wirtz. Because the way she so perfectly captures all this love, this empathy, this kindness, to this forgiveness, or not, I don't want to say forgiveness, the idea of, when you have wronged me, I still choose to be kind to you because I am not going to stoop to your level. And just the way she shows an expression of love. I'm repeating myself, but it's so good. It really is phenomenal. If you have not read Wars of Light and Shadow, go read it. It is the ultimate story of kindness from what I've seen so far. Anyways, are you ready for number 2? What did you expect? Did you think Rockio wasn't going to be on here? Did you think? You're wrong. You are wrong if you thought Rockio wouldn't be on here, because he is. This is one of the best authors of our current time and era, and you know it. You know it too. Rockio is one of the best out there. And Rockio, oh my god. So I read all of Sun Eater. Disquiet Gods is my favorite by like a margin. Like, Kingdoms of Death is really close. In fact, it really, come to me tomorrow and I'll probably say Kingdoms of Death, but I'm saying Disquiet Gods right now because it has another one of my favorite character dynamics. And there were 3-4 different moments in this book where I was just almost crying. Like, I was fighting back tears because it was so powerful. There were moments in this book where I'm understanding the world more, but a little bit better than that. The dynamic, the relationship between Hadrian and another character, this character specifically, is so amazing. I love Disquiet Gods so much because it amps up the conflict that we've been going through for these past few books, and it marks this ending of a sorts. It's tying everything from the back, from everything that happened early on, and it's bringing it back, and it's saying, here we are. These are the things that you've done, and now these are the consequences. It's like, it's a whole roller coaster of, this is why this happens, this is why this is happening, this is why this is happening, this is why this is happening, and that's why that's happening. And it's so amazing. In fact, it made me want to go reread some things like Demon in White. I really do want to reread that book. And, like, I want to reread the whole series now. I'm going to give myself time. I think I want to read Shadows Upon Time, and then I want to go do a full reread once I've gotten all the Broken Binding editions, maybe? I don't know. It's so on a whim that I have no idea myself. But Disquiet Gods is so amazing. And again, this is another one of those books that I just don't feel like I can talk about without spoiling, because of the way he depicts the struggle of man, and the struggle to still live through immense pain. But it is the things that we love, our relationships, the people that we love, that keep us going, that keep us moving forward and onwards and marching. I love the way Rockio depicts that so brilliantly. He nails the head on the coffin to understanding that the reason we struggle is for the people we love, so we can have good times with the people we love, or so that our loved ones can have better times. Excuse me. And man, just this book was amazing. In fact, I want to reread it right now. I've convinced myself to reread it. I won't, but I really, really, really want to. And I cannot wait for book 7 to come out, because book 7 is going to be absolutely amazing. And I just know, in fact, this might be, because of Disquiet Gods, this Sun Eater may have become my second favorite series. Like, I'm slowly talking myself into it. But man, are you ready, everyone? Wait, no, I'm sorry. You don't get that yet. You don't get Book of the Year. You get honorable mentions first. So, first 2 honorable mentions: Riven Earth and Sundered Moon. So these 2 books were actually on there, but then I realized A Song for Our Bond had to be on there, and then I was like, okay, sorry, Zamar. Amazing books. Specifically, and the reason they would be up here, is Otto. Otto is this character in this duology who I love without a shadow of a doubt. He is so powerful because of his relationship with his daughter, and the way he hates her, but he doesn't, and he should love her, and the way he made a promise to love her and care for her even though he's dying, and how he's angry, and the way it's this baby, by the way. It's an infant, and he hates her and for being born, and it's so immaculate. I just, man, that character alone is what makes me love this duology. And that he is why. Because Zamar had this brilliant relationship between the 2 of them, and that's what I love the most about this duology. I admit it. And now for the next one. Next honorable mention: Threadlight! Look at this beauty. Look at this beauty. You know what? Look at this beauty. Sorry, I do just want an excuse to show off this beauty. I'm not gonna lie. But man, this trilogy was absolutely fantastic. It felt like candy. I swear. It felt like I was just eating candy. I was having a good time all throughout, and I liked pretty much all the characters, and the only fault I had with it was really some of the ways the characters ended. I think there was one character who I didn't like how he ended. Yeah, no, there was. I remember it now. And that's pretty much it. This whole trilogy was a very good, extremely tight-knit story that just, it nailed it so well. And I just realized this is an omnibus, so cut me some slack. It's one book, actually. It's the Threadlight book. You know it's just one book. So don't come to me. Don't look at me like that. No. It's one book. It's not a trilogy. I'm sorry. I lied. I lied to you. It's not an omnibus. It's not a trilogy. It's just it's one book. It's one 800-page book. Honestly, I probably shouldn't have read it that way. But oh well. The way this book it was so tightly knit. In fact, it made me think of Mistborn in that way. Oh God, I feel like I've heard that comparison before, but I really do mean it. I loved the magic system, and I thought actually that was my favorite part of it. The magic was so fascinating. It felt so mythical and cool, and I loved it so much that I was perfectly happy with it. There was really, it's not something that felt amazing to me. It didn't feel brilliant beyond everything, but I loved it. I loved so much of it that if I didn't have such a banger of a year, it probably would have been up there. Now, okay, I'll fix that later. So you're gonna have to see this beauty. You know what? I'm just gonna flaunt. I'm gonna flex. Now for the last honorable mention. Will the Many. I didn't expect to like this book at all. I really did not expect to like this book. Because I don't like schools. I don't like magical schools. Fuck them. They aren't fun. Stop doing it. It's the same thing over and over again. Please stop doing it. I swear. It's the magical school shit again and again and again and again. So I really wasn't sure I was going to like it. But when I read it, I loved it. I love the idea of the will of somebody being pushed or being stolen and given to other people who are higher up in the hierarchy than you, and the way I really didn't expect to like this book again, but I was hooked with the mysteries that we all had, the way that it feels like this character is moving up through the ranks, and it's one of those super satisfying stories that you're just having a blast. In fact, I'd compare it to The Rage of Dragons, except it has more mystery and a Roman aesthetic, which I like more. That's pretty much it. Even though, no, I don't want to say I like it more. It's different. I think it's different in the aspect of its aesthetic, and because of that, I think they're just different enough that I loved this more, but Rage of Dragons is just as good. But, oh, man. Will of the Many. Absolutely fantastic book. Now we can talk about the real stars of the show. And I know this is reaching like 40 minutes, but it's gonna happen. You know that. Are you ready? The 2 books of the year. Yes, fuck you. I'm choosing 2 books of the year, not 1. 2 books of the year. I mean, I really couldn't decide. I'm serious about this. I can't decide. Because both of these books have had such a... Sorry, there was a thing in the air that I had to take it out of the way. Man, how do I describe this? Both of these books have had such a profound impact on me. In fact, Jimmy from the Fantasy Network said it best in his spoiler discussion with Chris Bookish Goldrin. The way, like, it just empowers you to deal with the hard things in life. If you have not read Realm of the Elderlings, do it. It's gonna change you, and I mean that, because Ship of Destiny and all this trilogy, The Life Ship Traders, has a plea. It begs you something of the reader, and throughout the trilogy, it makes you give excuses to this thing. And in fact, I'm gonna have a whole video on this next week. Slowly but surely, it gets it out of you. It makes you excuse some of these horrible acts, and then moving forward and forward and forward, and then Hob goes, "Why the fuck were you looking away? You do not get to look away." I love this plea from the Life Ship Traders. It's why I love the Life Ship Traders. It is a plea to understand one another, and even better, to stand up against the things you believe are wrong. And that's what I felt it was. And if you feel like something is wrong, if you see something that you know is wrong and you believe it, then you need to stand up against it. That is what it felt like Ship of Destiny was. It was a plea to tell you, stand up for this. Don't look away. Don't shy away from these harsh truths of reality. Man, it was so good. And then Assassin's Fate. How do I... Again, Assassin's Fate, I think I have like 3 or 4 quotes in my quote book cited in this book that just... I don't really cite many quotes in my quote book, but I had to do it. Were you trying to fall? You don't fall right now. And Assassin's Fate. Oh. It was just... How do I put it into words? Assassin's Fate is just brilliance. Pure brilliance. In the fact that it is so... It's inspirational. It's this joyous moment that tells you so many different things about people, about fate. There we go. That was the thing I was thinking of. Fate, and how we are the masters of our own fate. Yes, there are times in our lives where we're going to be trodden. We're going to be fucking torn down, and we won't have a choice in the matter. Other people's wills will trample over us at some points. And that's wrong. But we don't have to forgive them, and we shouldn't hate them. And what's even better is the way Assassin's Fate calls you to action and says, even though these horrible things are going to happen, they will, we can keep going. We are the ones who are the masters of ourselves, of how we react, how we answer. It's, again, the most powerful story I have ever read in my life. There is nothing that compares to these 2 books, to this series. I have yet to find something that compares, in my opinion. And if you have not read Realm of the Elderlings, go fix that. You are genuinely missing out. Anyways, I think that's all I have for today. Thank you for watching. This is a 43 fucking minute video. Don't worry, there will be timestamps. And I hope you all have an absolutely amazing day. If you don't mind, tell me what some of your best reads were. What were your most loved reads? This was... Man, I loved this series so much. I'm not even sad that it's over, because of course there's more Hob. But, of course there are going to be sequels too. But... I'm fulfilled. I am content. If you've read Realm of the Elderlings, you get what I just said. I am content with everything that's in the series. If we never got another Hob book, I'd be satisfied. We will be getting more Hob books because she's written more books, and I'm very, very, very happy about that. But I would be content. And I am content with everything that has been given to me in this life and in these books. Anyways, again, that's all I have to say for now. Hope you all have a great day. See you all tomorrow.